Welcome to the lesson on Supplier Price Update Services. Currently, I'm in the Pricebook Center, which I access from the JobMaster Pro main menu by clicking the Pricebook Center button. Now, Supplier Update Services allow you to update the costs of different items in your price book, or the prices that your vendors give you, call it either way, that end up being your costs in your price book for different items. Now, the key to making this work is two things. The vendor ID for an individual item in the price book tells Cobra that a specific vendor is going to be updating this item in the price book with updated costs. Now, the vendor ID can be manually input. It can be input by groups of items using the Changes by Product Groups utility. Review the lesson on that if you'd like to do that. Or when you create a price book from a supplier's catalog file, that supplier's vendor ID will be input automatically by Cobra. The other main field is the trade number field. This trade number field has to have in it the UPC or catalog number that the supplier uses to identify this item, because that is going to be the link between this item and the supplier's update file. So let's run an update service. We're going to click on Updates on the menu bar, Pricing Update Center, and this shows you any supplier update services that you have purchased from us. So if you have one or you have three of them, doesn't matter how many of them you have, that just means that you have different suppliers updating the costs of different items in your price book. I'm going to double click on the one that we're going to run today. So MES is one of the suppliers that we have updating different items in the price book. Now, some things I want to show you before we actually run the update. Notice right here what I'm circling. What this is telling me is if I've run the update before, this is where it found the update file that the supplier sent me. Now, the key to this is loading the file that they sent you. So whether they emailed you one and you stored it on your hard drive, or they sent you a diskette or a CD, the key is knowing where to find that file. So when we click load, Cobra's automatically going to look for this file where it found it the last time we ran the update service. So I'm going to click load, and indeed that's exactly what it did. It opened up my C drive and it's looking for this file name, which is right here on my C drive. Now again, this is the key, so I want to take this a step further. If your supplier sent you an update file on a diskette, what you want to do is find that file. So you click open this drop down, the look in drop down, and you want to click on my computer, so then you can see all the drives on your computer, like the A drive. If you see one that says A drive, that means that you have a diskette drive on this computer, which I don't here. But if you do on yours, you can double click on that A drive, it would say A here, and then you could look for the file name that it's looking for right here in this white area. When you find it, you can click open, and then it begins loading the file. And you can see it ran through very quickly. What I did was trim this file down because it had 26,000 items. I just wanted to run it through quickly for this lesson. So I had it pared down to 499 items. So once it's loaded, you get a little sign down here that says it's ready to run. So we can perform many different functions at this point, and I'm going to kind of go through some of them. I'm not going to run them all though at this point. If you're creating a price book for the first time from a supplier's catalog file, then you can use the Create button to do that. If all you want to do is just update the costs in an existing price book, you run the Update option, which is what I'm going to do in a moment. Otherwise, you do have the ability to merge either new items in the catalog file or all items in the catalog file with your existing price book. Now I should say that if you were to create a new price book, Cobra would warn you that you're going to override an existing price book. So you want to make sure with the Cobra staff that that's what you want to do. Otherwise, I just want to update my prices, so I'm going to click my update button. But before I do that, I should point out a few update options down here. The update options allow you to take control over what gets updated when you run the update through. And once you set these on or off, they will stay that way until you change them the next time. So I generally want to have both my billing cost in my price book and my estimating cost updated with new costs in this update service. So that's all I'm going to check. But you could select all these different check boxes if you wanted all these to happen at the same time. So I'm going to click update, and I'm going to click yes. I'm sure that I want this to happen. Now you can see the progress. The update is actually happening right now. So you can see the different update items and the price book items, how many items are being updated, how many have been processed through. So you can see how fast this is in saving you so much time and keeping your costs updated from your different suppliers. We'll just let this run through. Now as you can see, when it's done, it tells me it's done, so I'm just going to click OK. And I can do several things at this point. I can look to see what items were updated, although as you'll see in a moment, there's a better way to get this list that can also be printed out. When I go back to the General tab, I can see how many items were updated. And this says 527 items, even though I only had 499 items in the update file. The reason for this is that in this price book, I've got duplicate items in there. So I might have a 1/2-inch EMT in there more than once, and for whatever reason. And so Cobra will update every occurrence of an item in the price book, which is why this number is actually higher than this one. Now the last thing you can do is create a supplemental database. Now a supplemental database is nothing more than an additional price book that sits kind of behind your normal Cobra price book, which you can access to build your price book from, or to access on the fly in either the job posting screen or the estimate takeoff screen. So if your price book has 80% of the items that you use all the time, then you may want to access the supplier's full catalog or the supplemental database once in a while when you need to access that occasional odd item that that supplier has in its catalog. So you can click this button to actually create that supplemental database. And there are other uses for the supplemental database as well. So if you like the idea of using a supplemental database, do review the video on using the supplemental database. But I'm going to exit for a moment, and I'm going to show you a couple of other features in relation to update services. So I'm going to exit the update services window, and on the menu bar I'm going to click on updates again, or actually I'm going to click on view. We changed that. View updated items, and in this window I can get lists that I can print out on items that were both updated or not updated today. So if I want to get a list of all the items that were updated, I can click on that option and then just load the list, and then here I could select all the items and print it out, do whatever I want with the list. The same with not updated items. If you wanted to kind of keep up if your supplier is keeping up with trade numbers, or they eliminated some items, on a periodic basis you're going to want to load this list and maybe take care of items that weren't updated. This ends the lesson on using price update services.